Nigeria's bond market traded with bearish undertone as players reacted to the bond auction calendar for the fourth quarter and the circular by the National Pension Commission, where the commission said it had concluded arrangements for the takeoff of the RSA transfers. Adamma Mbachu, the team lead of currency trading at Axis Banks, joins me to speak on this. Thank you, Adamma, for taking the time out to join us. I'd like us to start with the PENCOM news coming from PENCOM. Has there been any market reaction to that?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. Yes, the market, there was quite some reaction caused by the release of the circular by the National Pension Commission. Yeah, and this was duly based on the market interpretation. So what we saw is that we saw a sort of reclassification of bond portfolios for the PFA, the pension fund custodians and then administrators. So we saw a sort of reclassification to be in line with what is required from them as a result of the circular release. So we saw a sell down of some maturities like the 2026, 2028, 2049, and 2050 to probably invest the funds in other classes of funds. So what we saw a bit of very sentiment around those maturities, which actually caused an overall bearish sentiment in the market. However, the average yield benchmark bond closed at 4.1%.
Okay, let's quickly. I'd like us to quickly talk about the FX markets. I know that today the CBN is expected to intervene at the SME and Invisibles window as it tries to clear offshore demand. How much demand are we talking about here? How strong is it?
Okay, if I take you through the FX market, yeah, the CBN has actually been consistent in the injection of funds for SME and Invisible and, of course, the retail windows. And, of course, they started, like you mentioned, to clear backlogs for the foreign portfolio investors. Now, the demand we are looking at here is about $2 billion. So far, the CBN has been able to clear about over 50% of those funds, and they have continued consistently in their sales and interventions. So right now, we are seeing that the market is still, the IRC is still under pressure because the demand for funds still outweighs the supply. But however, there have been consistency in the rates, closeout rates for the IRC. Rate closed around, has been hovering around 386 levels. While for the official market, the market has been flat at 381 levels. And so far, the CBN and the Invisible, the SME and Invisible window has actually been consistent at 386.
Okay, let's quickly move on to the treasuries markets. Now, following the UMO maturity of about 244 billion naira on Tuesday, where are you seeing buying interest on the UMO curve?
Well, the market has been pretty liquid. And then, of course, the buying interest were mostly skewed towards the longer end of the curve and probably a few on the shorter end of the curve. And however, you see also that the NTB auction is happening today. And then we have about 146 billion on the offer. Well, sentiment is also showing that the rates will actually trend lower than the previous auctions, where we saw a rate at sub-1 level. So the market has been a bit on the G3 side of it, giving the continuous low trend in the rate, being below 1% and across all the maturities. So, but however, the investors are actually seeing them looking at risk and return. So the government securities are still quite enticing for them, and we see that there's always an oversubscription around those levels. So we will see a bit of oversubscription in the NTB space as well. However, we'll see that rates may not be pretty far from where it is trading at the secondary market.